What's going on with y'all boys, man? Welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome. You know what I'm saying? I just came on here to address a few things. And one of those few things is the NBA draft lottery. The Wizards have won the 2026 NBA draft lottery. But I do think also probably the biggest winner of this NBA draft lottery, the 2026 draft lottery, is the Atlanta Hawks. You know what I'm saying? Given of how their season went, pretty much after the All-Star break, it seems like they pretty much won every game. That's what it seemed like. And how this was supposed to be a rebuild year with them trading away Trae Young, pretty much one of their core players. I do think that them finding a way to make the playoffs, not only make the playoffs, but avoid the play-in and make the playoffs, and really compete with, right now, from the looks of it, looking like one of the best teams in the league, in the New York Knicks. And then you're getting a top 10 pick on top of that. Someone that you could just, come in and allow to progress and really pair them alongside somebody like Jalen Johnson, or pair them alongside somebody like Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Okongwu and Dyson Daniels and Kuminga, which I think they should re-sign. They should make a priority to re-sign him. But yeah, I think getting a top 10 pick out of this situation where this was supposed to be a rebuild year, there's no better situation you could possibly ask for. I think out of all the organizations, besides OKC and Spurs, because of, their young talent with Shea and Wemby probably being the best two players on the earth right now, the Hawks are probably in the best position as an organization right now as far as where their direction is going. Because there was at one point where there was no direction to go in. Like, you didn't know which direction to go in. So the fact that you basically reset it, and then out of the reset, you found a core out of that. Like I said, when it was supposed to be a rebuild year, and then you have a chance to potentially add on to that. But now, even if they don't decide to add on to that and they trade away the pick, you can still get you a good to great quality player. You know what I'm saying? Because there has been names floating around in trade requests, and there has been names floating around. Just saying, somebody like Ja Morant is looking kind of appetizing if I'm the Hawks. You know what I'm saying? So maybe if they don't decide to trade or use the 8th pick, they can still trade it away and get a good quality player. Like I said, it's just no better situation you can ask for as an organization than where the Hawks are right now. You know what I'm saying? You found success pretty much in your worst years, or what's supposed to be one of your worst years. You found success. You found your core, and now you get to add on to that. You know what I'm saying? Nickeil Alexander-Walker being the most improved player, Jalen Johnson being an all-star, one of the best players in the league, one of the best all-around players in the league, and then you have depth with Okongwu and if you get to add on to that with the 8th pick, you can, now you get to move pieces like Dyson Daniels around and not allow him to be the only facilitator of the offense. Now you have, because this is a guard-heavy draft, I feel like they should go in the direction of the guard position. Because this is an offensive facilitator-heavy draft, I think they should definitely go in the direction of the guard position, because I feel like that's basically their major need. Either that or big man depth. Because down the stretch, when players like Okongwu got into foul trouble, you definitely saw some struggles within the Hawks. So either the guard position or the big man depth. I think at the A spot, you can pretty much go in either direction, because this is one of the deepest drafts as far as talent, especially offensive talent. in recent years, definitely in recent years, but maybe of all time. You know what I'm saying? It may have the potential to compete with drafts like '03, 96, 80, 83. It definitely has the potential to compete with those drafts for sure from the looks of it. Now time will tell if it ends up becoming that way. But as of right now, from the talent that's coming in, especially them being young, pretty much most of the talent being young, freshmen, they definitely have the potential to be some of the all-time great drafts. But like I said, you can get you a nice little guard or maybe big man depth. But I think big man depth is more of a free agency move rather than a draft move. So for the draft, I think going in the direction of a guard is probably the best option. Getting somebody like Mikael Brown, who is most likely going to be an option. Maybe somebody like Darius Acuff ends up falling, or if Kingston Flemings, somebody like that, LeBarian Philon, it's a lot of options that you can go. You know what I'm saying? As far as offensive facilitator, being able to get a bucket. Now the defensive side may come along later in their careers, but as of right now, they can provide a lot to a team, especially a team like the Hawks, who down the stretches, you saw the offensive struggles. That those times where they needed somebody that was able to come off the bench, or somebody that could been able to come in and be able to create shots and just provide a spark for an offense. But like I said, being at the 8th spot, showing potential that in the next 2-3 years you may become a contender. There's no better spot you can ask for as an organization than where the Hawks are right now. Because usually in the NBA organizations, when they go into rebuild mode, it usually takes at least 3 to 4 years just to be able to find a core to build on. It's projected that AJ Dybantsa is pretty much the unanimous number 1 pick. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe not unanimous. Maybe some players or some people may got him going other places. But for the most part, everybody has him pretty much going to the Wizards. And with that being said, it's a lot of chit and chatter and discussions going on whether AJ Dybantsa makes or pretty much puts them over the top as far as competing, really being able to compete, because the Wizards pretty much for the last decade or half a decade haven't really been able to compete. They really haven't been competitive, for a while, since John Wall was there. John Wall and Bradley Beal, which it's been 8 years, 9 years since that happened, 7 to 9 years, somewhere in that range since they've been there. So yeah, it's been a while. And my thoughts is, I think if they can stay healthy, they'll definitely be in the discussion as far as making the playoffs. Matter of fact, I think they will make the playoffs as long as they can stay healthy. Because I do think the issue is not with the talent with this team. I think the issue comes everything but the talent. You know what I'm saying? Being able to stay on the court, because you have somebody like Anthony Davis, who is supposedly going into this situation, he's supposed to be one of your core players, main guys. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not on the court, that it's just messing with the consistency of the team. And it's making everything imbalanced, because he's supposed to be there to make everything balanced, but now he's not there. Now the scale tipping over. But like I said, if he can stay on the court, we all know what Anthony Davis can do. When he's on the court, he's one of the best big men in the league. But not just that, he's one of the best players in the league. You know what I'm saying? Just because of his dominance, being able to really a 20-20 threat, 40-20. Like, he can give you some of them games for sure. But yeah, I don't think that the issue is talent, because I think right now, even without AJ Dybantsa, if you was to put Trae Young and Anthony Davis together, and play out this season from start to finish, they would have made the playoffs this season. But, you know what I'm saying, injuries hindered that. But not only that, I also do think that Trae Young being a defensive liability stands in the way somewhat. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing has always been that it's going to be hard to win with Trae Young if you don't have players that can defend, but not just one or two players. Since he's playing the point guard, pretty much the 2 through 5, like you've seen in the past when he was with the Hawks, it was like, yeah, they had some good moments, but when it really came down to winning basketball, they ran into some teams that had some trouble with. I think that's where the problem really lies, because there's going to be some moments where Trae Young gets attacked and attacked and attacked again, especially when it comes down to games where you have to win, must-win games. But not only on the defensive side of the ball, we also seen at times he struggle on the offensive side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when he runs into teams that's able to guard 1 through 5, and they gave him trouble. You know, during playoff series, they really gave him trouble. You know, you having teams trap him on the offensive side of the ball, but then on the defensive side of the ball, he's a liability now. You know what I'm saying? So basically, there's ways you can really limit him on both sides of the ball, and at times that may come a problem because of what Washington is asking him to do. You know, he's basically their main facilitator. You know, because outside of Trae Young, they don't really have facilitating. He's really pretty much their only floor general. Like I said, he's a great player. I just think there's times where, you know, his weaknesses really start to show up on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and that can really mess with the consistency of the offense. And I just think injuries and consistency are the main two things that I see standing in the way of Washington really being able to compete. Now you might add AJ Debinca, so he might relieve some of the pressure off of Trae Young. Then you have Trey Johnson, who can also come off the bench and relieve some of that pressure. These are players that's able to really create their own shot. So yeah, I do think just it's more injuries than consistency. You can find ways to get around just offensive struggles, but I do think the defensive side is really going to hinder them. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Do those 3 things for me. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.